33 weeks now since Maddie's become pregnant, and just really, I don't know how to say it, but like how amazing it is that life exists and God's part that He played in all of it. It just blows me away, and the responsibility that we have in raising those children. So I don't know if you know about this technology, but there's this thing called the Flow app. So it's used for a couple of different things. One of the things it's used for is being able to track your pregnancy, which is really cool. And each week it gives a little update on where the baby's at in its progress, and gives you a few cool little things along the way. So this is the one from week 8. It says that how big is the baby at week 8? It's the length. It's around 1.6 centimeters. Interesting. Weight, too small to calculate accurately. The size, equivalent to a kidney bean. Kind of cool, like just to be able to visualize that. All measurements are approximate, obviously, because everyone's got different kids and they all grow at different rates. But it was very interesting. The next part after the week, on week 8's one, said this. Developing their heart. At around 8 weeks pregnant, your baby's heart will continue to develop and get stronger, while your baby's heart will have been forming from as early as 4 weeks pregnant. It will be more fully developed by now. It'll change from being a cluster of cells to connected tubes that can circulate blood. And I just went, well, hang on. When did that happen? Like, it's just bringing it up like, oh yeah, and this thing happened. And I was just like, what? At 4 weeks, it started being formed, and it started me on doing a little bit of research, and I'll get to the heart later in the message, but it just started me on this interest to see, well, what else has God done that's just so unbelievably amazing? So it begs the question, when does life begin? Okay, and a lot of you are probably very aware of different political opinions, and I'm not here to be political. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about abortion, and I'm sorry if that hits anyone's nerves. I'm not being political. I just want to look at the fact that the life that God has given this baby, and questioning the life that is. So according to the termination of pregnancy bill in 2018, abortion is legal in Queensland up until 22 weeks pregnant. However, in the ACT, good old ACT, there is no legal limit for when an abortion can be performed. The average out-of-pocket for a medication abortion through a general practitioner in Queensland is around $250 to $350. Traditionally, Christians strongly oppose abortion on moral grounds. The Christian worldview holds that abortion violates the sanctity of life and is seen as a rebellion against God's design. This perspective is deeply rooted in the belief that life is sacred from the moment of conception. And I would agree with that. Historically, social norms have dictated women's roles in relation to pregnancy. Married women were expected to embrace unexpected pregnancies, and those who chose abortion were often seen as selfish. Unmarried women faced even harsher judgments, sometimes being shamed, sent away from their homes, or pressured to give up their babies for adoption. On the other hand, individuals who identify as pro-choice believe in the right to control one's own body. They argue that everyone should have the ability to decide when and whether to have children, supporting the idea that reproduction decisions are personal and should be respected. Several reasons are frequently cited by women seeking abortions. The most common include interference with education, work, or the ability to care for dependents. That's the 74% of the time, that was the reason. 73%, must be different. Anyway, another one, financial inability to afford a baby, and not wanting to be a single mother or experiencing relationship problems. Nearly 40% of women reported that they had already completed their childbearing, and about 1/3 felt unprepared for motherhood. Less than 1% cited pressure from parents or partners as the primary reason for their decision. Younger women often felt unprepared for motherhood, while older women typically had responsibilities to other dependents that influenced their decision. I'm going to put the verse up on the board, but I want everyone to open up their Bibles because I'm a big believer of that. So can everyone please open up Job chapter 10 and verse 8 to 12. And I can't remember what translation that is on the board. I'll give everyone a moment. Job chapter 10 verses 8 to 12. Right, yeah, I'm going to start reading. Your hands have made me and fashioned me, an intricate unity, yet you would destroy me. Remember, I pray, that you have made me like clay, and will you turn me into dust again? Did you not pour me out like milk and curdle me like cheese? Clothe me with skin and flesh and knit me together with bones and sinews. You have granted me life and favour, and your care has preserved my spirit. Job's not questioning God's power here. In fact, I would say he's not even questioning God's existence, but he's certainly questioning God's plan. He's questioning God's plan for his life and why are the things happening in his life. What's the reason for it? If he could understand why it was happening, he'd have a little bit more of a viewpoint, a bit more faith with knowing why. Why? But let's not get distracted with all that, because it doesn't matter how questioning Job is of God's plan here. Job has no doubt and affirmatively acknowledges the fact that God has creative powers and created him. How amazing. Job acknowledges God as the sole creator and sustainer of human life. He metaphorically describes himself as a masterpiece, fashioned by God's hands, intricately crafted like clay, moulded by a skillful artisan. Job draws parallels between God's creative acts and similar processes like curdling milk to make cheese, emphasizing the divine craftsmanship involved in forming every aspect of his being. Job's reflections highlight the profound depth of God's involvement in human existence. From forming him with clay-like precision, to curdling him like cheese, Job recognizes God's intimate care in clothing him with skin and flesh, and knitting together his bones and his muscles and ligaments. Every detail of human anatomy and life is attributed to God's deliberate design and sustaining power. How good. Now, I've had a little bit to do with clay making. And I've had to create a canopic jar for a school project before. And I like to say that I'm have a little bit of a clay masterpiece in me, which is pretty cool. But it probably, these look amazing, right? They're They're Egyptian. It's probably more like what mine looked, but but one thing I do know with working with clay is that it requires diligence and getting your hands dirty. So I went to Google to find out how a master makes a clay masterpiece. And this is what it said. I've got a process of this guy making this pot. It says here, creating a clay masterpiece is a multifaceted and demanding endeavour that encompasses a blend of artistic vision, technical expertise, and physical stamina. Artists must begin with a clear and compelling concept, often developing through extensive research and detailed sketches. Mastery of various sculpting techniques such as coiling, slab building, and carving is essential, along with proficient use of a wide range of tools for fine details and textures. The physical demands are significant, requiring strength and dexterity to manipulate the clay, especially for longer sculptures and enduring for long hours of repetitive work. Understanding and managing the properties of clay is critical to prevent issues like shrinkage and cracking. Sculptors must maintain a right moisture level to keep the clay workable and ensure even drying to avoid structural flaws. The firing process, including bisque, not sure what that means, but and glazing firings, requires precision and experience to achieve the desired finish without damaging the piece. There we go. Fine detailing and surface smoothing demand a steady hand and a keen eye for detail, adding to the complexity. The process always involves significant emotional investment as artists pour their passion into their work, facing constant self-evaluation and critique. The entire process can span weeks or months, demanding patience and dedication. Despite the challenges, the creation of a clay masterpiece is profoundly rewarding and culminating in a tangible representation of the artist's skill, vision, and hard work. Fascinating. Now, the other thing that Job paralleled his creation to was the process of curdling milk to make cheese. In biblical times, cheese production would have been simpler and more rudimentary compared to the modern methods. Here's a general milk from sheep, goats, or cows would have been used depending on the region and available livestock. The milk would have been left to naturally sour or curdle, likely through the addition of rennet. Rennet could be derived from the stomach lining of young animals, which contains enzymes that aid in coagulation. Alternatively, certain plants or fruits with coagulating properties might have been used. I think I like that one better. Once the milk had coagulated successfully, the curds would be cut into small pieces using a knife or a simple tool. The curds would be transformed into baskets or moulds lined with cloth or leaves to allow the whey to be drained away. This could be achieved by hanging the curd-filled cloth or placing weights on top of the moulds to pressure out excess moisture. Salt would be added to the surface of the fresh cheese to enhance flavour and aid in preservation. The amount of salt used would vary based on local customs and preferences. I believe this is mozzarella. a cheese that I'm not, I haven't acquired the desire for that. Are any cheesies in here? Cheese lovers? Yeah. Yep. Nice. The imagery of curdling milk and moulding cheese underscores God's sovereignty and creative prowess. Just as cheese making requires precise steps and attention to detail, Job acknowledges that his own formation and existence are intricately woven by God's hands. This poetic language not only emphasizes God's role as the ultimate creator, but also underscores Job's deep reverence for God's providential care and the gift of life. For Job, every aspect of his being, from the structure of his bones to the flexibility of his muscles and ligaments, is a testament to God's intentional craftsmanship. He credits God alone for the gift of life, recognizing that his existence and every breath are sustained by God's unfailing care and favour. Job's words resonate with humanity and awe, illustrating a profound understanding of God's role as the divine architect and sustainer of all life. Now, to babies. And this is not a sex ed class, but it is a miracle how this process works. So fertilization, the miracle of fertilization. A single sperm cell measures just about between 0.003 millimeters and 0.005 millimeters in length. These tiny cells have to travel a daunting distance of 15 to 18 millimeters to reach the egg. Just to put that into perspective, it's like me running from church to the Gin rest area and back. Now, I probably used to be able to do that, but I don't know if I can do that anymore. It's around about 5.25 kilometers. And here's the staggering part. They can complete this journey at an equivalent pace of 2 minutes 48 minute Ks. It's good, isn't it, Aiden? And just to impress you a little bit more, Aiden, that is just a little over 10 seconds slower than the world record pace for 5 kilometres. His pace was 2 minutes 33. Oof, that's quick. So after ejaculation, sperm have a mighty journey ahead of them. They must swim from the vagina, through the cervix, into the uterus, and finally into the correct uterine tube to locate the egg. No mean feat. This encompasses a distance of 15 to 18 centimetres. Millimetres, which Dr. Tiffany Jones, a fertility expert and reproductive endocrinologist, aptly describes as a very long way for a sperm to swim. Who can swim very well? I cannot swim very well. Interestingly, the sperm receives some help along the way. Within just 8 seconds of entering the vagina, the pH level rises, creating a more sperm-friendly environment. Additionally, the semen become a gel within a minute after ejaculation. While researchers aren't completely sure why this happens, it's suggested that this gel keeps the sperm near the cervix opening. Then, about 30 to 60 minutes later, the gel degrades, allowing the sperm to continue their journey. But here's the catch. Only a very small fraction of ejaculated sperm actually make it to the egg. Although around 3 million sperm are typically released, only about 200 will reach the egg. Someone laughing over there? Keep it together, Brad. This is still impressive since only one sperm is needed to fertilise the egg. The sperm's journey is fraught with challenges. Dr. Jones calls these booby traps, which are the body's natural defences to ensure only the best sperm reach the egg. For example, sperm that reach the cervix enter cervical mucus, which can trap them. However, during ovulation, this mucus becomes more watery, allowing more sperm to pass through. Next, the sperm have to make it through the cervix, where they must choose between the left or the right uterine tube, giving them a 50-50 chance of finding the egg. Dr. Jones notes that not all sperm will go in the right direction. It's estimated that only about 10,000 sperm will enter the correct tube. The uterine tubes present another challenge with very narrow openings, further reducing the number of sperm that successfully reach the egg. Fertilization typically takes place in the uterine tube, marking the final hurdle of the arduous journey. Despite these challenges, the numbers don't always add up. Around 200 sperm might reach the egg from each ejaculation, yet conception only occurs 10 to 33% of the time during the fertile window. Dr. Jones explains that not every sperm is capable of fertilizing an egg due to defects or thickening of the egg's outer wall, making fertilization a lot harder. Finally, once a sperm successfully penetrates the egg, the outer shell, called the zona pellucida, cements to prevent any other sperm from entering. This intricate and demanding journey ensures that only the strongest and most capable sperm succeed in fertilizing the egg. The incredible odds make successful fertilization a truly remarkable event. The chances of you becoming you just from one successful attempt at conception is 300 million to 1. You were not an accident. The sperm cell that just missed out had a completely different set of chromosomes, which would have made someone completely different to you. The miracle of the heart. So this goes back to how this whole journey started off for me. God's creative abilities are truly amazing, aren't they? This is seen vividly in the intricate and miraculous formation of a baby's heart, showcasing his unparalleled craftsmanship and love. Will that video play? No. Maybe not Wi-Fi? That's all right, I'll come back to it. Alright, so what starts the process? What, do you want me to go to the video? Oh, sorry. That's all right, don't worry about it, Aiden. I can't control it. Anyway, I'm going to keep reading. So what starts the process? What kicks off the chain reaction? I'm no anatomy professor, and so please tell me after if you know, but from my limited research, the answer seems to be perhaps nothing in particular. It seems that as the cells mature in the developing embryo, they grow gradually, more and more sensitive in electrical signals. After a while, they become so sensitive to natural electrical noise in the tissue around them that some of the cells start activating at random. This activates the cells next to them and the ones next to those, and so on until a pulse spread across the heart for the very first time. Gradually, eventually, a steady rhythm is established. Research would lead to believe that this is how those very first heartbeats originate, in quite a haphazard kind of way. Very different to the tightly controlled rhythm of the adult heart. So you can see this diagram on the board here. The heart beats on the 22nd day of gestation, or around about then. So that's in that week 3. That's what the heart looks like when it starts beating. Incredible. Not even fully developed. And yet it's working already. During the second week of pregnancy, special cells called cardiac mesodermal cells move to the front of the embryo. They create 2 main groups of heart cells. The first heart field, which forms early, and the second heart field, which forms a bit later. These cells are crucial for creating the heart's muscle cells, known as cardiomyocytes, which multiply to help the heart grow. Several important proteins help shape the heart chambers. Proteins like, I shouldn't list all these, there's a lot of TBX2, TBX3, TBX5, and so on. All these proteins are essential for this process. More protein names, along with more proteins, encourage heart muscles cells to grow and develop properly. They help produce specific heart genes that improve the heart's ability to contract and form correctly. TBX2 and TBX3 are also involved in the developing parts of the heart that aren't chambers, like the areas where blood flows in and out. TBX20 prevents TBX2 and TBX3 from interfering with the chamber formation. Without TBX20, the heart chambers wouldn't develop correctly. Problems with these proteins can lead to defects in the heart, such as ventricular septal defects. VDSs are holes between the heart's lower chambers, allowing blood to mix improperly. If these holes are large and not repaired, they can cause serious issues like high blood pressure in the lungs, low oxygen levels, and blue-tinted skin. By the 3rd week of pregnancy, the front first heart field cells come together to form the primitive heart tube, which you see there, which starts beating around day 22. This tube eventually forms the left ventricular and parts of the right and left atria, crucial components of the heart. The heart works continuously during its lifetime through adrenaline rushes and exhaustion until our final moments. But it couldn't have happened without that very first heartbeat. How did it happen? I don't have anything to back me up here, but for me, I believe that God gets his hands dirty. I can see him reaching down from heaven to touch every baby, to touch my baby. How great is our God? This video was it captured the very first heartbeat of a zebrafish, which was very interesting to watch. Anyway. Okay. Next one. The miracle of the lungs. It would be wrong for me to talk about the miracle of life without mentioning the miracle of the lungs. How do babies transform their respiratory system from a dormant state to fully functioning in a moment? These almost amphibious beings who seemingly metamorphosize from being aquatic to terrestrial. Lung development is crucial. There we go. Lung development is crucial during pregnancy, as fully developed lungs are essential for life outside the womb. Unlike other organs though, the lungs develop later, with each day being very significant. Lung development occurs in 5 stages, starting from the pseudoglandular stage, where lungs resemble a tree trunk with branches. This is followed by stages from 26 to 35 weeks, and the final stage begins at 36 weeks. During the last month of pregnancy, this period sees significant lung development necessary for breathing outside of the womb. In the womb, the lungs remain dormant as the baby receives oxygen via the placenta. However, upon birth, the baby must take its first breath, initiating the lungs' function and rapidly transforming the circulatory system. During gestation, the lungs are partially collapsed and filled with liquid, with oxygen supplied through the umbilical cord. Blood bypasses the lungs via 2 fetal blood vessels, the foramen ovale and the ductus arteriosus. The foramen ovale directs oxygenated blood from the right atrium to the left atrium, bypassing the lungs, while the ductus arteriosus connects the main body artery and main lung artery, allowing the blood to detour from the lungs. At birth, though, significant changes occur. The lungs start absorbing the liquid, making space for the incoming air. The first breath inflates the lungs, dramatically reducing lung pressure and rerouting blood from the right ventricular to the lungs. This inflation can be so forceful that it occasionally bursts a hole in the lungs. The reduction in lung pressure causes the foramen ovale to close, redirecting blood flow to the lungs. The development of a baby's lungs during pregnancy is a remarkable process that showcases the intricacy and precision of God's design. This complex orchestration, from the closure of fetal blood vessels to the first exchange of oxygen in the alveoli, is a testament to the divine craftsmanship. Praising God, we marvel at how He has intricately designed the process of life, ensuring that every detail works harmoniously to sustain and nurture a new being. Amazing. Now, there's one part of Job that the verse in Job that I didn't talk about, and it starts off with how God fashioned him. Now, this is what the dictionary defines fashion as a verb, not the noun, the verb. It is to give shape, to form, to make, to construct or to create, to design or devise for a particular use or purpose. In the heart of Florence, a colossal block of marble stood abandoned, its potential hidden beneath its rough and imperfect surface. The marble known as the Giant had been quarried in Carrara years before and left neglected after early artists, daunted by its flaws, abandoned their attempts to shape it. The block's sheer size and weight, combined with a prominent crack running through it, made it a daunting challenge for any sculptor. But in 1501, the Opera del Duomo of Florence decided to find an artist who could transform this forsaken marble into a masterpiece. They turned to a young but exceptionally talented sculptor named Michelangelo Buonarroti. At just 26 years old, Michelangelo had already begun to make a name for himself with his extraordinary skill and dedication to his craft. Accepting the challenge, he saw not a flawed stone, but the potential for greatness within it. Michelangelo's mind teemed with visions of David, the biblical hero who had slain the giant Goliath with a single stone. Unlike earlier depictions, Michelangelo envisioned David not after the victory, but in the moments before, tense with anticipation and resolve. His David would be a symbol of youthful strength and a divine favour, a figure both dynamic and lifelike. Before he could bring his vision to life, Michelangelo faced the marble's imperfections. He carefully examined the block, mapping out a plan to work out around the flaws. His knowledge of anatomy, combined with his ability to see the final form within the shape of the stone, guided his every decision. In his workshop, Michelangelo laboured tirelessly. He used traditional tools like chisels and hammers and rasps, employing this subtractive technique to remove excess material and reveal the figure that lies within. Each strike of the chisel was deliberate and precise as he meticulously shaped the marble. Days turned into nights, and the sculptor often worked in seclusion, consumed by his task. His dedication was legendary. Stories circulated of Michelangelo working for days on end without rest. The statue began to take form, first rough and undefined, then gradually more detailed and lifelike. Michelangelo's deep understanding of the human anatomy allowed him to carve with remarkable precision, capturing the tension in David's muscles, the veins in his hands, and the intense focus in his eyes. The marble, once a cold and lifeless block, now breathed with the vitality of the young hero. After 2 years of relentless effort, Michelangelo completed his masterpiece. The statue David stood at 17 feet tall, a towering figure of grace and power. But the journey was not over yet. Transporting the massive statue from Michelangelo's workshop to the Piazza del Signoria. Its intended location was an enormous task. A specifically designed wooden cart, manoeuvred by teams of workers, carefully navigated the narrow streets of Florence over several days. And finally, in 1504, David was unveiled to the public. The citizens of Florence were awestruck by its beauty and power. The statue became a symbol of the city's civic pride and the artistic achievement, embodying the spirit of the Renaissance. Michelangelo's David was not just a sculpture, it was a testament to the artist's genius, his ability to see potential where others saw flaws, and his unwavering commitment to his task. You are a testament of God's genius. His ability to see potential in you, where both you and others see flaws. His unwavering commitment to his craft is creating you to be a masterpiece. Michelangelo may have mastered the art of forming the human figure in stone, but God has mastered the ability to make us in his likeness, to create people with character, love, care, joy, and compassion. God has given each one of us the gift of life, and I hope that today you can appreciate that a little bit more too. What a miracle you are. Praise be to the Lord. Amen.